Trump experiences Scottish air for the first time, and it instantly destroys him. He's like getting refeeding syndrome, but from not in American air for the first time, dude. He's like, it's his body is not responding positively. Please melt some tar in my vicinity. Quick, give me burger. I need burger. Pronto. I'm dying. All right, let's get started. Trump took questions from reporters during the meeting with the UK Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, also known as Kid Starver. We're going to get started there, obviously.
Well,
Trump is doing big deals. He's doing money. Donald Trump hasn't stopped his posture. It's the same old. On the one hand, he's molesting the money pretty hard right now, specifically the European vassals. He's demanding more tithing from the European vassal states, in the form of trade deals. Okay. Europe, get excited. You're going to have to spend more of your taxable revenue, more of the revenue that comes from taxes on American weapons. Obviously, you won't be able to spend that on your healthcare. You won't be able to spend that on your roads, on your public transit. It's going to look a lot more like America in Europe. So I'm kind of excited for that, because I'm a psychopath who wants everything to be America, everything to be bald eagle. So, get excited for it as well. You guys will finally get a taste of that beautiful freedom when you have the freedom to choose whichever healthcare provider is going to fuck you over harder than the next. So that's fantastic. That is coming because you obviously have to find more room for American weapons that you're purchasing, which is nowhere near as sweet as a hospital visit that is paid for by the government. Also, get ready to demolish your roads and your walkable infrastructure, because America has decided that you need to have these child-killing tanks running around in your streets that we like to call Ford F-150s. I was just recently watching a TikTok video about how, pickup trucks, full-size pickup trucks in the 90s were literally smaller, in the United States of America, by the way, were smaller than the Ford Ranger or the smaller pickup trucks that we currently have. And they were awesome. But now they're not awesome. Now they are tanks. Now they are so large that it's, first of all, you're going to have to change your commercial driver license restrictions, obviously, because the average European can't drive a Ford F-150 given its engine size and given its size overall without getting a CDL. So obviously you got to change that too. You got to change your cities. So your cities will also have the freedom. So that's cool. Think about how cool it is that, you no longer have to rely on public transit at all, and you will actually pave down all of your cobblestone roads that have been there since the Roman era, and instead you can have disgusting, filthy asphalt that breaks apart because of the sheer size and the weight of these pickup trucks that are constantly roaming your roads now. And you'll also have to probably gut half of your you probably have to gut half of the sidewalks, obviously. It's like an invasive species, basically. Get excited for the potholes. That's really cool. Wider streets, bigger parking lots. You might need to take out some of that green space as well. I was thinking, because when I go to a gay city in Europe, woke and gay, sometimes I see these things called trees, or a little baby park in the middle, right? Where people kind of sit outside and enjoy eating stuff and drinking maybe a little coffee, right? Like a little espresso, and smoke cigarettes. You can't do that anymore because you need a parking structure for massive Ford F-150 pickup trucks. So that's cool. That it won't be woke and gay anymore. So that's another thing you can look forward to. Your tone is enthusiastic, but your word sounds like a threat. No, it's just, I mean, think about how much fun we're having here in the United States of America. When you look at a 1990 Ford F-150, which is still pretty sizable, right? It's still a pretty big truck. And then you look at a 2021 Ford F-150 tank. I mean, think about how exciting it is that you now have, by force, will have to drive a tank instead. You're skipping the 1990 Ford F-150 pickup truck, which has a larger bed, by the way. These trucks had larger beds than this one. Bro, the EU could import these, but no one will buy them. Excuse me. You will buy them. You will buy them at gunpoint. If you don't buy them, how can we know you don't love freedom? If you don't buy them, we might start thinking you're looking a little Iranian, okay? Or perhaps even scarier, looking a little Chinese. And you don't want to look Chinese, okay? Let me tell you, you do not want to look Chinese, okay? What are we talking about? You need to have these cars. These tanks. I don't want to call them cars. They're not cars. They're tanks. You need to have these tanks. In Belgium, only businesses are still allowed to buy them. Law can't buy them as a private individual. Excuse me. That law needs to change. Obviously. How will I know you're patriotic? How will I know you're a patriotic American if you don't have a tank that you're driving? Also, what's more American than making every man a business? Okay, maybe in Belgium we've decided every man is a business. Now you can all have this. Why do you care about things that are not in your immediate vicinity? If you're so upset with Europe, then don't live here. No, just literally focus on your own street. Wait, isn't that funny? I'm currently talking about what my country, is doing to you in Europe, and you're over here being like, "Well, don't worry about it." Like, that's such an interesting mindset to have. Like, see, this guy is still here, you know? This guy is mentally already there. This guy's a dumb American. He might be living in a Western European country, but mentally he's already there. He already has become a dumb, moronic American baboon. You notice that? It's already coming in. The poison already came in many years ago. Right? The poison already came in many years ago. A lot of you Eurocucks didn't realize it, and that's what you got to do. We need more of that guy. That guy is good. We need more of that guy. That guy has become an American already mentally. He said he wants 5,000 kilogram cars. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, we will not stop until every country is America. Anyway, let's get a little bit of an inside look into how this relationship is working.
England, and fantastic to be here at Turnberry with you. Thank you so much for showing us around and having this opportunity to sit in this fantastic ballroom, which is absolutely incredible, and to start talking about some of the issues that are most pressing in your country, in my country, and in particular, we've had the opportunity to talk about the situation in Gaza and the intolerable situation, including images of starvation. And I think both of us know that we have to get to that ceasefire and we have to increase humanitarian aid in. And thank you for what you've already been doing, are doing, and are committed to, because without you, this would not be capable of resolution. And I think that if we can work not just on the pressing issues of the ceasefire, but also on this issue of getting humanitarian aid in at volume, at speed, and then we've discussed a plan for what then happens afterwards. I think we can do our very best to alleviate what is an awful situation at the moment. So thank you very much for the discussion we've had so far and the discussion we're about to continue.
I never thought I'd see so many old white men suck each other off disaggressively, but with a European accent, you know? Because, like, we watch Fox News all the time here, and whenever Trump is on, you see every American gargling his and also sometimes his balls. But I never thought I would see that, like, Euro style. You know what I mean? It's cool. It's cool to watch. It's like it's definitely a different change of pace. It's like it gives it an air of elitism almost. Yes, Mr. President, you've done such a fantastic job. Thank you for exploiting the entire European continent. It's very, yeah, it's like it's refined and sophisticated is right. That's exactly what it is.
On that really important issue, but it's fantastic to be here. Thank you for your hospitality and to see this amazing golf course. I'll invite you to a football ground at some stage, and we can exchange sports.
It's been great being with you, and thank you very much, Mr. Prime Minister. And you've done a fantastic job with regard to the trade deal. You know, they wanted a trade deal here for years, many years, through many different terms. You got it done, so I want to congratulate you on that. And it's a great deal for both. It brings unity. We didn't need unity, but it brings us even closer together. I think it's good for both parties. We also discussed, obviously, Gaza. And I think before we get to phase 2, which is, you know, what's going to happen afterwards, we want to get the children fed. We made a contribution a week ago of $60 million, all going into food. We only hope the food goes to the people that need it, because so much, as you know, when you do something there, it gets taken by Hamas or somebody, but it gets taken. But
damn, even Trump started adding "or somebody." Who's the somebody, bro? Now he's like, all right, he's adding qualifiers. It's crazy. Maybe it's not just Hamas. Maybe it's somebody else. Who knows? Nobody knows. Nobody knows who's taking the food. Great. Does Keir Starmer pass as charismatic in Britain? No. Also, Trump looks like absolute doo-doo butter, dude. What the hell is this? Bro, he looks extra shitty today. What is happening? He looks worse than you. Yeah, I thought I looked like shit today because I'm tired. Also, I look great, Gil. Even when I'm tired and sleepy, I'm still like, this is not a comparison. Like, look at this man. He looks like he's rotting. Trump experiences Scottish air for the first time, and it instantly destroys him. He's like getting refeeding syndrome, but from not sucking in American air for the first time, dude. He's like, his body is not responding positively. Please melt some tar in my vicinity. Quick, give me burger. I need burger. Pronto. I'm dying. Air is too clean. Not enough burger. Give me smog. Like, this is the worst thing. This is the worst I've seen him in a while. I don't know if it's the Epstein stuff. I don't know if it's I don't even think it's like Gaza related. There's no way. Right? Because he doesn't give a shit. He's the devil. And I feel like when he does, the worse things get, the worse the better he gets in comparison, if that makes sense. Anyway, let's continue.
We're prepared to help. You know, we want to help. It's a terrible situation. The whole thing is terrible. It's been bad for many years, but it's great to hear you feel the same way that I do. We have to help on a humanitarian basis before we do anything. We have to get the kids fed. So we've been sending in a lot of food. A lot of the food that's been going there has been sent by the United States. I spoke yesterday with the president of the European Union, Ursula, who was terrific also on the subject, and she's going to play a big role also in helping us. So we have a good group of countries that are going to help with the humanitarian needs, which is food, sanitation, and some other things. It's very difficult to deal with Hamas. As I said, you know, we got a tremendous amount of hostages out, but it would take place in drips and drabs. You'd get 10, you get 5, you get 2, you'd get 10, 12. We get 12 one time. Many of them would come to the White House, and they were so thankful. But I always said, when you get down to the final 10 or 20, you're not going to be able to make a deal with these people because they use them as a shield. And when they give them up, they no longer have a shield. And the people of Israel feel so strongly about the hostages. Some people would take a different view, but they feel so strongly about the hostages. So that's an ongoing process. Hamas has become very difficult to deal with in the last couple of days because they don't want to give up these last 20, because they think as long as we have them, they have protection. But I don't think it can work that way. So I'm speaking to Bibi Netanyahu, and we are coming up with various plans. We're going to say it's a very difficult situation.
Why is he still running defense for Israel when reports indicate he's privately pissed off at Bibi? Because the reports are bullshit. And that's it. Because it's like Biden. It's the same nonsense that Biden did, where he was like, look alive. I'm so mad. I'm gonna give a talking to. I'm gonna tell him, he's gonna have a come to Jesus moment. But there is no with Israel and the United States of America. It's this, okay? It's this. It's a unified front. Israel does whatever America wants. Now, I will say, post Obama, especially under Trump 1, Israel increasingly took over the steering wheel of America's foreign policy and its interventions in the region. They took the driving seat, okay? They took the driver's seat and they started driving the car. That's for sure. And Biden did not scale that back in any capacity. As a matter of fact, he put his foot on the gas. He basically took Israel's leg and pushed it down, okay? Slammed it. But ultimately, we're in the car together. That's it. So the idea that Trump is mad or whatever, it's bullshit. It's bullshit. Trump could get more mad in the future if it becomes like a bigger problem, if it becomes a bigger issue, right? If there are more consequences for this allegiance, then maybe Trump will scale back or force Israel to scale back. Okay. But once again, that requires continued pressure. That requires Trump's base to feel some type of way. Okay. Here's Barack Ravid reporting on Trump's statement. There's real starvation in Gaza. You can't fake that. That was one of the craziest things I saw, at least. I saw a New York Post report and even heard from some Hasbara accounts that were trying to say, oh, that famous photo of the starving child is actually fake. Why is it fake? Because that child has a genetic muscular disorder. And they're so echo chambered. Israel accounts are so unimaginably echo chambered that they literally think the best counter to a now infamous photo is to say Israel isn't just starving all children. I mean, Israel isn't just starving healthy children. Israel is starving children with genetic diseases as well. Israel is starving children that have debilitating genetic diseases. It's one of the most insane things I've ever seen. You have to be completely out of your mind. Hamas's fake narrative exposed truth about the Gazan child who made global headlines. Israel officials confirm 5-year-old Osama al-Rakab suffers from genetic diseases, not a war-related starvation. Gaza starvation poster child has genetic condition. Starved Gaza child suffers from genetic illness. Kojat, a photo of a 5-year-old Osama al-Rakab has gone viral, used to falsely depict Israel as responsible for his condition, claiming Israel starving children. The facts: Osama suffers from serious genetic illness unrelated to the war. On June 12, we actively coordinated Osama's exit from Gaza with his mother and brother to the Ramon airport. He's now receiving treatment in Italy. That last part is also fake. I don't think that that's what's going on anyway. It's so crazy because there are so many starving people, so many starving children. There are a ton of different photos of starving babies, starving parents, the doctors, the healthcare professionals, and people that work for Oxfam that are the people that are not supposed to be starving under any circumstance. No one is supposed to be starving, but doctors especially are not supposed to be losing weight in a battlefield. Okay? Remember, there are a special status. We are talking about Americans and Westerners who supposedly have special status in this circumstance. The reason why they go to this field of battle, this war, this genocide, is specifically because they use their bodies and the special status that they have in the eyes of the international community as a human shield to defend the civilian population. Everyone is starving. Hostages are starving. I've never seen something like this before. I've never seen an instance where a Doctors Without Borders doctor is visibly skinnier, gaunt, week after week. Children who suffer from illnesses such as cerebral palsy have been cut off from the medicine, food, and care they need. Thanks to Israel's blockade being the most vulnerable, they will visibly starve and die first, as we are witnessing. Somehow this is hard to grasp for Israelis. These kids are both suffering from illness, but you would never know that from how the media is telling their stories. Dude, they are also starving. Okay? Your argument is, no, you don't understand. Israel is not just starving all children. No, you don't understand. Israel is not just starving children with no illnesses. We are starving children with illnesses as well. I'm sorry. The only way you can find this to be like an appropriate deflection is if you're insane. If you have surrounded yourself with psychopaths, and no one at no point says, "Hey, this is up." They just post that shit for the Israelis at this point. They aren't trying to make sense to anyone else. No, there are people. There are people who eat this bait. Like Megaphonics just said, his mother believed it. You know what I mean? It's just like there's a lot of people who are motivated into turning a blind eye to these atrocities. You just got to drop them. There's like not much you can do as far as like convincing them. That's it. You know, focus your efforts on people who you can convince. You know, can't even wrap my head around the fact that we live in the same world with the shit Israelis. I mean, there are plenty of evil people, man. What are you talking about? There's a lot of evil people out there. This kind of journalism doesn't help Gazans, but it does get Jews killed. Truth is nothing to fear unless you're part of a movement that's based on lies. Yeah, thank you for revealing your truth, Hen Mazig. The truth that Israel is starving everyone, including children with genetic disabilities. Wow, that's awesome. The point is this, okay? If people look at this, this is Ta-Nehisi Coates, who very correctly pointed out and said, the Democratic Party doesn't care about genocide. What makes you think they care about democracy? A party that actually contributes to an ongoing genocide and refuses to address it is not a party that is going to defend your liberties either. You are stupid for thinking that the Democrats would turn around and like defend democracy or defend your civil liberties here in the United States of America against like fascist forces, because they obviously have no problem with these images. These images did not occur overnight. Famine doesn't start overnight. That's not how it works. So it's been really strange watching all of these, it's been really strange watching these people, like, you know, the Matty Iglesias of the world or whatever, they'll be like, oh, well, it just happened. Starvation doesn't set in overnight. People are trying to save face and act as though those who were warning as the famine has started were in the wrong for highlighting the plight of the Palestinians. That's the other side, which is that we're not making this shit up. We're simply communicating, offering a megaphone to the Palestinians themselves, who are talking about the experiences that they're going through. Okay? But they can't say that. They can't get mad. I guess, like, unless you're Israeli, you can't openly be like this Palestinian, you know what I mean, who's dying in a genocide. So you just say, oh, the left for highlighting this and making me mad. It's like, well, you don't seem too mad about the situation. You seem more mad about me telling you what's going on. Right? So, yeah, This is depraved and obscene even by normal Matt Iglesias standards, simultaneously smug, massively dumb, racist, nibbling, and ass covering. Palestinians are simply incapable of being witness to their own genocide. They're all liars, but an Israeli says it now, so it's time to listen up. I would recommend this from Haviv Retigor and the Free Press to the skeptics. There's been some crying wolf that has unfortunately poisoned the waters to an extent, but the wolves are now, in fact, here. What an insane way to do an about face here, which is not even an about face at all. It's basically saying, like, the only time I'll believe that there is mass starvation happening is if an Israeli says it's happening. If someone who's pro-Israel who is saying that the starvation is real, that's the only time I'll believe it. Yeah. If
they didn't have the hostages, things would go very quickly. But they do, and we know where they have them in some cases, and you don't want to go riding roughshod over that area because that means those hostages will be killed. Now, there are some people that would say, well, that's the price you pay, but we don't like to say that. We don't want to say that. And I don't think the people of Israel want to say that either, which is pretty amazing. A lot of people would say, just get it done and whatever it is. You could also say speed might be better for the hostages. You go through, with speed, you may have a better chance because they're in deep trouble. They're in deep trouble. You saw October 7th, and you saw what the damage and the horror that they committed. People can't forget that. They tend to forget it, but they can't forget. That was one of the most evil things I've ever seen.
Yeah. October 7th, one of the most evil things I've ever seen. 22 months of October 7th, twice a week. Not that evil because the other side is brown and scary. They deserve it. That's it. That's what it is. That's all this is. It's insane.
And you just cannot forget that. So we're very much involved. The Prime Minister's involved. I'm involved. And I think I can speak. We just signed a very big trade deal, the biggest of them all yesterday, right? And the European Union is very much involved in wanting to help with really the Palestinians in terms of getting people fed. But the area of Gaza, another way of defining it is the area of Gaza. It's a very troubled place, and it has been for many, many years. It has been for many decades. So it's not like this just happened. This has been going on for a long period of time. So that's it. Our hearts are in the right place. We have some good news because the recent war that you just saw, they just announced, I see, the newest of the 5, now this would be 6 that we've stopped. I've stopped 6 wars in the last, I'm averaging about a war a month, but the last 3 were very close together. India and Pakistan and a lot of them. Congo was just, and Rwanda was just done. But you probably know, I won't go into it very much because I don't know the final numbers yet. I don't know. Numerous people were killed, and I was dealing with 2 countries that we get along with very well, very different countries from certain standpoints. They've been fighting for 500 years, intermittently, and we solved that war. You probably saw it just came out over the wire, so we solved it through trade. I said, I don't want to trade with anybody that's killing each other, so we just got that one solved. And I'm going to call the 2 prime ministers who I got along with very, very well and speak to them right after this meeting and congratulate them. But it was an honor to be in.
I feel like I talk about this so much that it's like a broken record, but it's probably not good for overall discourse when you have the president from the bully pulpit consistently lying. Like, even outside of the moral depravity, the moral rot, it's got to be strange. Like, I don't know what it does to our like understanding of the truth in general when the president will just be like, yes, oh, these trade deals are fantastic. Why? Because they're giving us $500 quintillion. Okay. Oh, I stopped this war. I stopped that war. This war was going on for 1,000 years and I stopped it. Like, none of the things he's saying are correct. The only things he can like hold up as accomplishments for his administration are just shit that he cooks up seemingly on the spot. Things that he is not necessarily putting a lot of thought into. Very strange behavior, very strange set of circumstances.
Involved, and that was a.
Could you explain why he's wrong? Not a Trump guy, just curious. He did not stop any actual war. Like, that's not real. That's what it is. Like, when he says the Japanese trade deal is fantastic for us, he's saying that he got an IOU from Japan. And when you dive into like the details of the IOU, okay, it's actually not $500 billion. It's just Japanese companies adding investment back into Japanese companies. It's not like they're opening up new facilities or anything like that. Like, he just lies about everything. It's no different than saying like, I found unicorns. Unicorns are real. I found them and I'm breeding them. I'm breeding them left and right. You can see them everywhere. Okay. I mean, you can choose to believe it, or maybe you can like look into it. Right? You can look into it a little bit further and realize that, oh, he's just talking about horses. Like, those are just horses and they were there already. There are no unicorns. He didn't even slap a cone on the top of the horse's head to make it look like a unicorn. He's just claiming that there are unicorns now. That's it. Every positive thing that he can hold up that his administration supposedly did is just completely made up. He's just making it up. What does that do to discourse in general? What does that do to our understanding of the truth? Just one of the many different ways in which the administration, I think, is just like destroying everything. Like, I don't know.
It was going to be a very nasty war. Those wars have been very, very nasty. So we've done a lot of good work. We've had great support from the Prime Minister anytime we needed help, anytime we needed any form of support. You've been there. We appreciate it very much. Absolutely. And we're going to continue onward. We do have to take care of the humanitarian needs on what they used to call the Gaza Strip. You don't hear that line too much anymore. You don't hear the Gaza Strip, but it is the Gaza Strip, and it's amazing. It's not being handled a little bit differently. We're going to set up food centers, and we're going to do it in conjunction with some very good people, and we're going to supply funds. And we just took in trillions of dollars. We got a lot of money, and we're going to spend a little money on some food. And other nations are joining us. I know your nation's joining us, and we have all of the European nations joining us, and others also have called, and they want to be helpful. So we're going to set up food centers and where the people can walk in and no boundaries. We're not going to have fences, and they can't. They see.
Oh, no more GHF aid trap. Is that what's going on? I don't think so. By the way, I don't think that'll happen. For the record, but we'll see. I don't trust anything he's saying. I'm gonna be honest. On the real though, how is Trump posturing on Gaza better than AOC is? Like, that is unacceptable. I don't think he is. I don't think that's the case. I think your expectation from AOC is understandably much higher than Donald Trump, which is why you're reacting this way. But AOC has said all this stuff. It's not enough.
The food from 30 you would say, yards away, and they see the food. It's all there, but nobody's at it because they have fences set up that nobody can even get it. It's crazy what's going on over there. So we're going to work very closely together with your country, a great country. We also discussed inside that we are, there's a whole new thing happening with regard to energy from nuclear. Yeah. And the Prime Minister's looking at that very strongly. And I know you have Rolls-Royce nuclear plants. That sounds pretty good, right? I love that. What a great brand that is. But you're also doing the Rolls-Royce or the nuclear plants, the smaller plants. We're doing smaller and bigger, but the small is interesting. They do a small plant, very easy, very safe, and as they need more, they hook up another plant, and they have a series of plants instead of, doing the $20 billion plant. That gets tough for a lot of people to do. So we're just studying that, and it sounds like you're very far progressed, but that's a great thing you're doing on nuclear. We opened up nuclear about 2 months ago, and it's now safe and very inexpensive.
No, we see civil nuclear as a big part of the future as we go to sustainable, independent energy. And I think that between the two of us, we can work very much more closely on this. And we've agreed that that's our ambition, that's our aspiration. And this is going to be a big part of the future when it comes to energy. And you can see in the last few years, energy has been weaponized. Prices have dictated both families and businesses across the United Kingdom, and therefore taking control of energy is a huge prize. So the more we can work together on this, the better. And small modular reactors are a very big part of the future here, and we've got great companies like Rolls-Royce involved in that. So I'm very much looking forward to working together with you, Mr. President.
We'll do that. We'll do that. We're going up to your oil capital in a little while. We're going up to Aberdeen. That's called the oil capital of Europe, and that's a great asset that you have up there. Someday, if they ever change their thinking on that, you have a great and valuable asset. There's a lot of valuable resources underground there, but that's a decision for you to make. But it's a very amazing place, and it is considered the oil capital of Europe. So it's another option that you have. So we are doing really well as a country, and I think that the Prime Minister has been so supportive of us, and so strong and so respected. And I respect him much more today than I did before, because I just met his wife and family. He's got a perfect wife and family, and that's never easy to achieve, right? But
I take no credit for that.
But he's become a friend, and together we got a deal done that has not been able to be done. It was a deal that's very good for both parties.
A really good deal for both of our countries, and very, very well received here in the United Kingdom.
So thank you very much for having us.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Any questions?
Mr. President, Russia. Earlier you said that you were going to change the deadline from 50 days.
Yeah.
What is your new deadline?
I'm going to make a new deadline of 10 or 12 days from today. There's no reason in waiting. There's no reason in waiting. It's 50 days. I want to be generous, but we just don't see any progress being made.
Mr. President, you just talked about setting up food centres in conjunction with other organisations.
Right.
You're talking about the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation or recognise.
I wish every world leader handled him like Jerome Powell did last week. They can't, because Jerome Powell has a lot more power over the American economy and therefore a lot more power over Donald Trump. Other world leaders would also have a lot more power over Donald Trump if they actually coordinated, collaborated, and maybe even hedged their bets against Donald Trump by having more positive relationships with China. But they're too fearful to do that. So they're just continuing along the vassal state mentality. Sorry, Keir didn't quite get that your tongue in Trump's ass. How does Trumpito sound so low energy? He's just tired like me. He's just tired like your boy. That's what it is.
Aid agencies, how will this work?
Well, it's going to be working with the United States. We'll be helping with the food. You know, we have a lot of access to food. We got a lot of food ourselves, and we're going to bring it over there. We're also going to make sure that they don't have barriers stopping people. You know, you've seen the areas where they actually have food, and the people are screaming for the food, and they're 35, 40 yards away, and they won't let them because they have lines that are set up. And whether they're set up by Hamas or whoever, but they're very strict lines, so we have to get rid of those lines. But we're going to be getting some good, strong food. We can save a lot of people. I mean, some of those kids that's real starvation stuff. I see it. And
yeah, there's real starvation stuff. Yeah, there's like, well, at least he is recognizing that there is real starvation stuff happening in the Gaza Strip. That's crazy. Oh my God. So many sources for discussion and news on Palestine is now blocked in the UK with the Online Safety Act. Yeah, I've heard about this as well. We'll cover that later. The UK is completely out of control. I mean, we're gonna get that. We're getting there as well. So fantastic stuff. It's great. Love living in the Western liberal democracy that is supposed to not allow things like this to happen ever. It's great. Fantastic.
you can't fake that. So we're going to be even more involved. We did some airlifts before, some airdrops, and the people are running for it. And the Prime Minister is going to help us. They're very effective with that. You've done that before, and for many, they've done that for 100 years very well. So it's not very hard to do, actually. Yes.
President, you say you love Scotland. You're the most Scottish president
Yeah,
ever.
sure, you can come in, yeah.
Is there a better deal to be done for Scottish industry and the deal that you've done with the Prime Minister?
The tip of it is coming.
Whiskey, for example.
Well, I have great love for Scotland. You know, my mother loved Scotland, and she loved the Queen. I don't know, I might hurt myself by saying that the monarchists are going to like it. Some other people would, but she loved the Queen. Whenever the Queen was on television, she wanted to watch. And she would come back religiously. She'd come back to Scotland once a year with my sister Marianne, primarily, and sometimes my sister Elizabeth also. But they loved this part of the world. And, you know, we're talking about the Isle of Lewis. We're talking about serious Scotland. That's serious Scotland. There was no doubt about it. So, yeah, it gives me a feeling, you know, it's different. You go to another country, you have no relationship to it. You get to like maybe the head of the country or something. But it's different when your mother was born here, right in Stornoway, a beautiful little place.
It's so hard looking at him after that movie, dude.
Because of your love of
Yeah, we watched The Apprentice last night, and it's strange. It's strange seeing Trump in the flesh after seeing, what's his name?
Sebastian Stan, who killed it.
Who played a really convincing young Trump, for sure.
I was very impressed. Him and Jeremy Strong both killed it. But yeah, no, this is like very I just see Sebastian Stan right now.
Yeah, freaky.
Scotland. Is there a better...
Oh, B'Tselem finally said Israel's
I
committing
saw
a genocide.
the New York Times did a push alert about it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Now that B'Tselem has said it, I'm sure the New York Times will take it more seriously. Probably not.
Trade deal to be done for Scottish businesses.
Well, the New York Times was taking cues from B'Tselem already, so
Yeah. They definitely were acknowledging that Israel was an apartheid state when B'Tselem was saying it.
absolutely.
Like, that's why sometimes I obviously am very critical of the idea that like it's only real if like an Israeli says it's real, like that kind of like supremacist attitude that many people demonstrate, like the Matt Iglesias of the world. But there are plenty of people who don't even listen when an American Jew is saying it or when an Israeli is saying it. Like, they just don't give a shit, you know?
Yeah, I
don't
mean,
care.
we talked a bit about this yesterday, but it's about like who gets to be seen as a person who doesn't, and like Jews who are not necessarily European descended but are coded as such in today's world versus like what was that Matt Forney word, brownoid, Arab and Muslim peoples, like they're questioned, like when a Jewish Israeli says that a bunch of people came into my home and like blew it up and assaulted me and my family or kidnapped me or whatever. Look
at this guy.
What is this?
Lord FM, how can you call others fascist when you support terrorist groups' law? How do you justify calling for violence on Donald Trump? Because you literally call for violence on the Israelis' law, calling them inbred.
Maybe you took some memory pills or something?
No, this guy is he has hallucinated a completely alternative reality in his mind.
Or
but in that reality, I look real bad.
In that reality, yeah, you do. That is that would be
so funny. You call violence onto Israelis, calling them inbred is so funny.
Or it's a really good tactic to bait you into saying it.
Yeah. It's great. It's because I called the settlers that were breaking aid inbred Kahanist terrorists.
Well, look, man, all I'll say is that I've seen the hills have eyes.
Oh my God.
And I've also been to the West Bank and stayed in settlements and met those people. And that's all I'll say.
Yeah. Look, I call Klansmen of every different seasoning and every different background inbred. Okay. Listen, if you're chirping about it too much, that's your problem. All right.
Yeah.
I like that.
Equal opportunity offender woke Eric Cartman over here.
I do like it though. They're like, oh dude, you called Israelis inbred, dude. That's the real violence and not the genocide that Israel is doing.
It's not. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fake violence. The real violence is like, what if one of those like Rastafarian looking dudes that definitely haven't taken a shower in 8 months, that's busy throwing Molotov cocktails at like Palestinian villagers. What if they hear you? I don't know, man. Sounds a little xenophobic calling people you disagree with inbred. Yeah.
What is this word, xenophobia? This concept is alien to me.
Wait, the Trump defending Israel defender is going to call you anti-Semitic if you keep doing that accent, Noah.
I'm going to be honest. I come by that impression pretty honestly.
Listen, a Jewish man. We got a Christian here. Okay, we got a Christian defending Israel here. Okay, watch out. Watch out. Okay, he's about to show you what's what.
Yeah. Well, no, that was like Roy Cohn in the movie last night.
Oh, when he was calling.
He used the K word to show his power level to Donald Trump in his basement with all his recordings.
He also was like very homophobic.
But that to me is like you kind of like that's the only way you could get to be who he was.
Yeah.
Like I don't think they would have tolerated him if he were like Randy Rainbow.
Yeah.
Like I think like look, we get it. You fried the Rosenbergs. You're awesome, Roy Cohn. But like you have to like take off the sequin jacket on 60 Minutes, sir.
Yeah. Damn, man. I didn't know hating Hitler was xenophobic besides some disagreements. Yeah, I like that. I do love the perma victimhood narrative though, which is like, excuse me, you can call out Nazi Germany's Holocaust. Just don't say that the overall population that defended it, that had full knowledge over what was going on, are actually pieces of shit for not doing enough to stop it.
Also, hold on. I want to drop some knowledge here too. I think that you can use the inbred thing against pretty much anybody who's like arguing about like racial purity and national purity, because fundamentally, right? What do they want? They want you to have sex with a fewer number of people in a less diverse genetic pool. Like,
that's it. That's why it hurts so bad. That's why people get so sad about it. They're like, "How dare you? What about the optics of this?"
Like, I don't know.
Wow,
like,
you're calling all Jews inbred. It's like, no, I'm not. I'm saying if you are advocating for racial purity politics, regardless of whether your background is Jewish or Christian, if you are a supremacist of any sort, like, I'm gonna call you inbred. You know, that's it. But I love the guy who, this is my favorite thing, because like this shows that the environment has shifted so dramatically that people that come in here to try to do fake tone policing have to come at it from this incredibly unsustainable position where they're like, I actually agree that it's a genocide. I just don't think that using this language is helpful in any way.
So there, about 10 years ago, in the ancient before times, probably before a lot of the people watching this were born, there was like a phrase that people like learned about and used and like drove into the ground, but it described a very real phenomenon, which was concern trolling.
Yeah.
And that is like, to me, so present here, because this is concern trolling.
Is so perfectly descriptive.
Listen, you are right in the content of your thing. However, I just don't think that this language is like helpful for your cause. You know, and like, and if you take it as your cause too, then it's like a bit, you know, like earnestly, then I don't think that this would bother you.
I just don't think spewing hatred towards an entire group of people, which I haven't done, by the way.
That's not the joke, man.
But it's okay. It's okay.
That's not what he's saying. Like,
he needs to believe that. He needs to believe that.
It's not like an entire group of people. It's not like Jews, and it's frankly, it's not even Israelis writ large. Like we're like talking about we're talking about like they're a significant group within Israeli society.
Which, for the record, if they said that about all Germans during World War II, no one would bat an eye, regardless.
That's true.
Like, so it doesn't even make sense within their own calculation, right? If you were to say that about all Germans during the Holocaust, no one would bat an eye. If you were to say that about all Turks during the Armenian genocide, no one would bat an eye at that. Okay, the difference is you're doing that because you have a hang up. Your hang up obviously is petty and born out of a resentment that someone else gave you, a resentment that you have to actively actively champion because some other content creator told you that this was a real issue, and that's it. That's what you're doing. That's the saddest part of this, is that, like, I don't even think this is your real opinion. You're just in here trying to fight someone else's battles. It's very sad. But overall, I don't care. I just want to stress this. I want to help you understand. I don't care about this, supposed tone policing that you're engaging in, because you yourself have already conceded on the main point, which is that there is a genocide that's unfolding. So in that process, what do you think is a better use of your time? To call into question people's continued support for the country that is doing a genocide, or getting really fake mad about something that I didn't even say?
And two things. One, like look around. Like, people are becoming aware that it's a genocide, like more and more day by day. The opinion, like, regardless of how, like, what language somebody uses, even if you're putting words in somebody's mouth there. But point being that, like, even if somebody uses language you don't agree with, like, fine. It honestly, I don't think you could claim as a matter of fact that it is inhibiting the process by which people are coming to understand the horrors of what's going on. Now, with that being said, if it's not like actively worsening the situation, just using like heightened rhetoric that corresponds with like the heightened moral horror at what's going on, then like hit the X button on the top right corner, brother, and go do something.
Yeah.
Like, then you're just like trolling yourself about like caring about something that, like, as just established with the previous thing, doesn't actually matter. It's not inhibiting like people's understanding of this in any way. And in fact, I would argue, like, I think that like using like, extreme language and talking about this with like even like a heightened sense of irony, just like drawing out the extremes of it, is like, it's it's part of what like signals to people like how up and strange this whole situation is, just how much of a moral inversion it feels like.
No, absolutely. And also, I think you nailed it when you said tone policing in this regard is like tone policing in this regard is for what purpose? Like you want me to craft a better message that is going to reach a broader audience, right? But it's like, but it seems like it's working regardless of your criticism, right? Like, and I don't even think it's a constructive criticism. I think this is supposed to look like it's constructive criticism when it's simply a way for you to try and find something to grab onto, because you've recognized that you've lost the ideological battle, the battle of misinformation. You've lost it. People know what's up. So much so that maybe a couple months ago, you could have come in here, maybe a year ago, or you could have come in here and been like, Israel's not doing a genocide. Shut the fuck up. And now you have to also personally recognize it. So maybe dig deep and try to find like what your hang up is. Okay. Try to find what your hang up is and why that frustrates you so much. Are you aware of Tectones clipping you insanely out of context on YouTube? No. I don't care. Take a day off, chatter. Who the f gives a shit?
Is that like the Deftones?
No, that's like the bald guy who has been trying to unsuccessfully farm like Hasan shit. And it came out that like his dad was the famous military sexual assaulter guy. He has rape allegations.
I'm sorry, you're going to have to be more specific.
So there's this guy who's a Twitch streamer who's like trying to farm like Asmongold's audience by being like, I'm right wing, I'm based, I love anime and jerking off to anime, but also, you know, gay people or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like he's like kind of like that. Anyway, it turns out that his dad was in the military, and he was such a prolific sexual assaulter.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
He's
in the congressional record.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Well,
He
it's
also
good that his son is such a force for morality in the world.
Yeah. Anyway, he hates me, which is, of course, I don't know how to describe it. Like, but it's just that, like, all of my haters are just like horrible monsters. Like, what do you want? I don't know. They just kind of do my work for me. I don't really need to do anything. I just kick back.
You showed me that video the other night, and part of me died, brother. Like I don't want to know these people.
Yeah, I made him cry because I outed his dad. Yeah,
is Trump? So what is this? Is this a meeting from today?
Yeah, this is him and this is Trump and Mr. the Lordship Kid Starver. You forgot to say he invoked his dad's service when you were either criticizing the American military or it was 9/11.
Oh, his father's service.
Yeah, no, he invoked his father's service to be like, my father didn't serve in the military so that like terrorists like Hasan could ironically use their free speech to be terrorists or whatever. And I was like, bro, why are you bringing up your dad when it seems like he didn't serve to protect the First Amendment rights that I have? He served to do sexual assault so much that it was a matter of public record. Like they literally changed the law after your dad,
Look, the world is like a strange place. And like the idea that guy thought that was a good idea. I don't know, man.
Yeah. And then after that came out, he got so sad. He like cried and said like, I can't have my dad on stream anymore because Hasan outed him or something.
Wait, sorry. Hasan outed him after Jackie Spear talked about him on the floor of the house.
Yes. Dude, for these people, you don't understand. Like for these people, like the world revolves around me.
That's
it's
what
so
he looks
strange.
like.
They have no concept of like politics outside of like seeing everything from the lens of drama. Like I'll sometimes see it out in the wild, like someone who doesn't even like me, who's like a Marxist or whatever, will be talking about some shit, and in the responses you got like my insane haters being like, get Hasan's dick out of your mouth. And it's like, no, that's just like a person who is a Marxist. You know what I mean? They think like I invented communism in their minds. Like they're so stupid.
Well, part of it though is like when you see a lot of these guys, it does seem like it's part of a character quality that I think a lot of influencers as a class tend to have, which is the idea, like the narcissism of their influence, which makes sense. And so it's like if they see somebody who is like saying the same kinds of things that Hasan Piker says in a different context, ipso facto, Hasan Piker influenced them to say those things because, well, like their ego suggests that they've got to have a similar ability on others, even if they're like, I don't know, they're total thunderheads as described by you.
Regime's
I assume when we do our trade deal over Scotland, I hope maybe all of it should go to
It's a
Scotland.
very good deal for the whole United Kingdom, and we're already achieved great things under the deal, and we'll achieve even more as we work together.
A lot of it is Scotland. I mean, I do know that, but I mean, we're dealing with the UK, but a lot of it comes to Scotland, and I was very particular. This is a part of the world I want to see thrive. It's going to thrive.
Mr. President, back to Gaza. You talk about Hamas stealing food and stealing aid. What responsibility does Israel have for limiting aid to the region? And if I could ask a follow-up to the Prime Minister, what pressure can be put on Israel? Is that something that you and the United States would work on together?
Israel has a lot of responsibility. They're hampered by the fact that you still have 20 hostages or so. And the people of Israel are very concerned about the 20 hostages. It's very interesting. You could say they could be more concerned about retribution than the 20 hostages, but they really want the 20 hostages to survive and live to make it. Many of the hostages came to my office in the Oval Office, and I was amazed I would ask them the question, was there any sign of love? Was there any sign of when you were a hostage and you have all of these people from Hamas around you, sometimes hundreds, sometimes 10, sometimes 2, but you're a hostage and you're being stored in a pipe. It's not even really, a cave, or it's a pipe, a little pipe. And some said they didn't think they were going to make it because they were losing air. There wasn't enough air, and they'd open up the pipe just in time, but they didn't do it on purpose. They just happened to open it. They got lucky. But I said, did they ever wink at you and say, like, don't worry, you're going to be okay? Did they ever give you some extra food, even if it was a piece of bread? Did they ever give you anything during that time? And some were there for 400 or 500 days now, right? It's a long time, a year and a half, more than that. And not one person said there was any love from anybody. In other words,
I mean,
you have hundreds of
a society built around a supremacist ideology.
Well, also, like,
does not believe that their barbaric, rapist, monstrous captors were nice to them.
Also,
would they even admit if they were?
I'm gonna be honest. I don't know if anybody's been reading the news lately, but bread has been a little bit hard to come by.
Also, there are some captives that have literally come out and contradicted the statements that the Israeli state was making about their conditions.
Yeah, which is
and then they get ruthlessly bullied.
And it was there's one, you can't assume that people are able to speak freely and critically of the Israeli government as like former hostages, family. I mean, but like there was an earlier time when the conditions were different and the situation in Gaza was.
Remember Lifshitz? I think Lifshitz, right? Like the older lady, the first one that they released on moral grounds.
Yeah, and she talks about.
She immediately came out of the hospital and was like, "No, they were actually great. They were nice."
And that's not to say that, like, obviously every single like hostage was thus treated like they're at the Ritz, but there is like, it's like, I mean, it's just clear it's clear the provenance of the story and why it's being shared.
It's also clear that they have been kept in significantly better conditions in spite of the overall conditions in Gaza than any number of different prisoners that are released from Israeli prisons.
I mean, look, I'll say this. Unlike tens of thousands of people, and probably more in Gaza, they're alive. Glib as that may sound, it's true.
The famous Hamas Stockholm syndrome. Yeah, that's what it is.
The people. And you see it in the movies where somebody's a prisoner and somebody's helping. You even see it with Germany where people would be let into a house and live in an attic in secret. You'd see
Brother, that was
signs
not
and stuff.
Germany.
I said, did you see
that
anything
was not
like
Germany. That was not Germany, pal. Different country.
Also, I get that he's trying to say that like people who would be aligned with the Nazi government would, still somehow try and shelter Jews.
Listen, the pianist, he's walking in Warsaw. He finds this beautiful pianist. He recognizes, he says, "Oh my God, you're a pianist." He gives him bread.
What's frustrating about this is that the apt comparison here would be Israel being compared, and Israeli society being compared to like the broader German society. Okay, so in that argument, you can't compare. Like, do people actually still go, yeah, Hamas is just like the Nazis instead of Israel? Like, who would be the Nazis in this situation?
Among people like Trump and the right wing, like not the liberals, but like among people who are on the political right, yes, it is an article of faith that like Islamist groups like Hamas and the societies organized around them, which is, I'm not articulating what I think, I'm describing their views here. Like, they believe that fundamentally that they they have like a death cult ideology that resembles something like Nazism. That's that's a neocon style, or a fairly radical neocon style articulation of it. That also just happens to be like where the id most of the country is as well. And somebody like Trump surely embodies that.
It's just funny to be like, oh, you can't compare anything to the Nazis except for a group of people that are closely resembling the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising, like Jewish partisans. Like, those are the only guys you can compare to the Nazis, not the Nazi state with a Nazi ideology doing Nazi shit. It's so stupid.
I mean, and look, like, there's a reason that like there's a reason beyond that Jews are involved in this conflict that we reach to like Nazi comparisons. It's because like it's the foundational like moral tragedy of the post World War II, like, Western consciousness, which it's like when you imagine something bad, that's what we got. That's what's like hanging around in the old brain is like the clay that your mind is working with. And yeah, I don't know. I can't really. It's pretty, to me, the thing that's just like crazy is to say this, like talk about like they didn't give him a scrap of bread when like the direct crisis that you are responding to is like about a famine.
Yeah.
Like it's like there's just such a like that the wires aren't properly connecting there or whatever is like good Lord, you people are cynical.
Did they wink at you? Did they say, "Don't worry, you're going to be okay"? I ask that question all the time. I've never received one answer that said, yeah, they really wanted to help. No, the hatred is just incredible.
So, access to food issue.
Yeah,
what more can Israel do?
Well, I think Israel can do a lot. I will say that Iran, I think, interjected themselves in this last negotiation. Can you imagine the beating they took? We wiped out their nuclear possibilities. They can start again. If they do, we'll wipe it out faster than you can wave your finger at it. We'll have to do that. We will do that gladly, openly and gladly. They've been saying, Iran's been sending out bad signals, I'll tell you. For a country that just got wiped out, they've been sending very bad signals, very nasty signals. And they shouldn't be doing that. They shouldn't be doing that. They were talking about things that they shouldn't be talking about. They were interviewed on a recent show. And the foreign minister saying things that he shouldn't be talking about, shouldn't be saying. And I think they got involved in this negotiation, telling Hamas and giving Hamas signals and orders, and that's not good. That's not good.
I would say, look, we need to get the hostages out. They've been held for a very, very long time, and we must always start from there.
Yeah, we must always start from there.
Always start from there. This famine is worse than anything we've had in fucking decades. We've always got to start with the fucking hostages.
The British public and myself, seeing those images of starving children in particular, are revolting.
It's not just children who are starving, by the way, you stupid freak.
Yeah, I mean, it's adults too, but at least they're acknowledging the starvation.
God. He really is just so contemptible.
He is awful. He is an awful monster. Oh my God. We knew he was going to be a giant piece of shit, but God damn, dude, he has somehow outdone my expectations.
I mean, I think that there's just like evidently some, like the U.S. has its own kind of rot, like tearing through the country from within, and among its governing elite especially. the United Kingdom has its own rot. And in some ways it's worse, in some ways it's not as bad as ours. But it is there, and like Keir Starmer is a particularly depressing expression of it. Good Lord. Like it's enraging and so deflating all at once.
Yeah.
Public at what they're seeing, and they know, and we know, that humanitarian aid needs to get in at speed, at volume. Yes, some could be airdropped, and we're working with others, with the US.
All right, yeah, and he's
with
willing to
Jordan,
entertain bullshit
on
theater.
that, but the trucks need to get in, because that's the only way you can get the volume in. And we do thank the President for the work he's done to try to get to a ceasefire, which we desperately need, but also to put aid in to the region. There needs to be much more of that. We need to galvanise other countries in support of getting that aid in. And yes, that does involve putting pressure on Israel, because it absolutely, this is a humanitarian catastrophe now. We also need to look beyond that situation to what then happens in the event of a ceasefire, which is desperately needed. And that's why I'm really pleased that we're having a discussion about what a peace plan would look like after that, the component parts of that. And we have to be really clear at this point that Hamas can play absolutely no part in any future governance in Palestine, and that's and in Gaza. And it's really important that we're clear about what triggered this, who took the hostages, and calling out Hamas for what they are, which is a terrorist organisation. But
yeah, Corbyn's party got signups, 500,000 signups in 3 days, dude. Like, I feel like they're cooking.
I mean, people want an alternative.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those situations where like there have been no good options for so long, and people have been pretty much clamoring for this kind of political option since Starmer officially took power.
I've been also this is like, that's UK domestic politics, but going back to Israel, I listened to the NPR Up First assessment, and they're still doing like Holocaust denial style Nazi propaganda over there, straight up. It's actually alarming. Okay? It is actually alarming how insane it is. They had, they talked about starvation. And then instantly they get like an Israeli soldier to say, this is Hamas propaganda. It is not real famine. And then like, it's crazy. They just straight up only listen to Israeli resources, Israeli envoys, Israeli soldiers.
And by the way, like there's more like restriction coming to the BBC. I mean, if Reform UK wins as well, it's going to get even worse, because the allegation remains, like within British politics, within Parliament, the perception such that it is now the reality for them is that the BBC is still excessively sympathetic to Hamas. That's their attitude. So it's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse.
Yeah. NPR, they said the reporters saw the starvation with their own eyes. Yeah. And then what did they do? In the report, it starts off with saying, our reporters have seen the starvation with their own two eyes. And then the next 5 minutes, the remainder after that statement, is going to Israeli figures and having Israeli figures say it's actually a lie. It's a complete fabrication. No, it wasn't a bit from one Israeli guy. It was two. They had Elon Levy.
They had Elon Levy?
They had Elon Levy's back. Israel rehired him. Yeah, they had Elon Levy and a soldier.
Elon Levy, I mean, that's like
to contradict the assessment of their own reporters without ever actually undermining like the afterthought that they're supposed to leave you with is, well, our reporters saw this with their own two eyes, but you shouldn't believe them. You should believe Elon Levy and the Israeli soldier. That's what they end up with on that piece, talking about the starvation in Gaza. It is crazy. It is disgusting. It's not neutrality. It's just lying at the behest of a foreign state that is conducting unimaginable amounts of violence. A the maximalist violent campaign you could do, a genocide.
I think today the focus has to be on getting that humanitarian aid in.
Will the UK avoid your pharmaceutical tariffs, and will it happen before August the 1st?
Well, we'll be announcing on pharmaceuticals sometime in the very near future. We have a very big plan on pharmaceuticals. We want to bring a lot of the pharmaceuticals back to America where they should be. If you look at COVID, it sort of taught us a lesson. We were getting our pharmaceuticals from other countries. We almost didn't make any. We used to make them ourselves, and we're going to want to be making a lot of them ourselves, all of them in a sense.
He does look like shit. He looks worse than ever before. I don't know what the fuck's wrong with him.
We'll be dealing with you on pharmaceuticals also. And we certainly feel a lot better with your country working on pharmaceuticals for America than some of the other countries.
I mean, the irony is that he does his belief in good genes.
And also his body is a battery, and he's not using it. So he's in dipped up shape.
I think though that he just looks like he's slowing down, and by the end of this presidency, it's going to be like, I don't know if it'll be as bad as term 2 Reagan, because term 2 Reagan was just demented, but it'll be like he's sundowning. He's sundowning in a real way, and like by the actual definition of it, like he like can't, like, in the same way like Biden was sundowning and the reporting was establishing it about like his working hours. Like Trump, it seems like right now you get the impression he can work a full day, but I don't know if that'll hold up by 2027.
He's Brandonizing at an alarming rate every single day. He's Brandonizing harder and harder. But like, also he's old. He's oldest, and he's used to a cushy lifestyle for the most part. And one could even say that like his first term, he didn't work as hard as he is now.
His first term, he watched so much TV, dude. I think it really was.
He watched TV and he played golf. Now he can't even.
January 6th and all the shit that came after it was a sort of self-radicalizing experience in that way, because like, like everybody then turned against him. But then it turned out that like the base still didn't. And so then everybody had to get along with him. And then a political opening came up with, all the inflation and what happened. And then October 7th, obviously. And it just, he was able to do the revenge. And now, and he had a bunch of people who learned their lessons from term 1 about how to get shit done, like Stephen Miller, clearly.
Yeah.
We have, you would not use that as a cudgel. You wouldn't be using it as a block. But we're going to be announcing sometime very soon, I think, pharmaceuticals are our whole thing. And the companies know. And drug prices are going to be coming down very substantially in the U.S., very, very substantially. And that'll happen very soon. No, go ahead. Please. Hold it.
We can all sense your frustration with Vladimir Putin.
Yeah.
Do you think he's been lying to you about his intentions in Ukraine?
Well, I don't want to use the word lying.
Take your pedo back is so funny when you're in the UK. It's like, dude, remember, bipartisanship in terms of pedophilic elite is a universal concept. It's not just like an American uniparty concept. It's certainly a British one too, Dog, your royals are embroiled in scandal because of our pedophilia distributor. We're all in this together, my man.
I think though it is also like there is the UK more than other countries, and it's not like, and not like in a glib way, like it is like a country with like a hyper unreconciled legacy of like child sexual abuse that is like it's like it's present in so much like fiction, and I mean Jimmy Savile sort of becoming like this like icon of it. It's I don't think that it's like I don't the English probably get like labeled too, like pedo islands probably too, but much and a little bit but then again like British satirists and others are probably the hardest people.
Yeah.
Like the people who go hardest at trying to illustrate this.
Well, back in the day, they used to go hard. I don't think there is even British satire at this point. Like, there were so many goats back in the day in England that had really good. They had really good British satire, really good and biting political commentary.
Chris Morris, who I think we've watched stuff together of his on your show, who did The Day Today.
The Day Today is very important. Brass Eye, The Day Today, very important for me in my political commentary development.
Your chatter who says that Private Eye still does good political cartoons is like I love Private Eye. It's a great British magazine, but like the political cartoons in Private Eye are like Dry Bones, but about British politics. Like you cannot, like, come on. But I do love Private Eye. No, I think in British culture there are a lot of like individual. I mean, you know, the Private Eye. Sorry, the UK like political satire culture, whatever. At this point, like my impression of it feels that it's less like you can point to like institutions or even like shows or programs that are left, but more just like individual voices that can break through at a given moment. Like, you know, Steve Coogan or something. Mm-hmm. But the reality is that, like, I see another chatter who makes this point that I was about to get to, which is that, like, you know, British media companies are like the big ones that finance everything and that can distribute it, like Channel 4 and especially the BBC, have like zero appetite for risk anymore. Like, why does somebody like Adam Curtis still exist at the BBC? Because relative to what he costs the BBC, which is almost nothing because he's working just with existing archival material.
Yeah.
He, you know, and his stuff is like radical in a pretty subtle way.
Or Louis Theroux every now and then.
Yeah, every now and then, but it's like so they don't
rare.
Fund,
it's very rare,
and it was already rare before, and now it's even rarer.
Yeah, but I was specifically talking about like cutting, like actually decent political satire. Like I think the English did an even better job than the Americans did for a very long time when it comes to just political satire in general. And because like when you look at Brass Eye or The Day to Day and things like that, that's literally better. And who is one of the best American political satirists? Armando Iannucci with Veep. Armando Iannucci is Scottish, and he did what was it, In the Thick of It and all these other things like
The Thick of It. I mean, the movie In the Loop, which is tremendous.
In the Loop again. Like that's a UK guy. That's a UK export.
I mean, American political satire, though, like American censorship. I mean, this isn't anything new, but like censorship in America, like George Lucas has told this story about how, you know, he was so jealous of like Soviet filmmakers and the freedom they had to experiment, because America has like a corporate censorship that has to do with like, even if nobody's telling you what it is that can't be done, what can't be done is anything that jeopardizes the bottom line. Yeah. And you know, now that we no longer have like a star system in which like actors and you know, individuals can hold an enormous amount of power.
But I do like movies. I love movies. And I know a lot of movies aren't popular. And you can say that going in. One of the reasons I retired is so I could make movies that aren't popular. Because in the world we live in the system we've created for ourselves in terms of it's a big industry, you cannot lose money.
Yeah,
exactly.
So the point is that you're forced to make a particular kind of movie. And I used to say this all the time when people, you know, back when Russia was the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. And they'd say, oh, but aren't you so glad that you're in America? I said, well, I know a lot of Russian filmmakers. They have a lot more freedom than I have. All they have to do is be careful about criticizing the government. Otherwise, they can do anything they want.
Someone is just like, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Oh, open the schools. Open the schools.
That is George Lucas, okay? George Lucas, the man responsible for Star Wars.
I want to see the next message after this. I want to see when they Google George Lucas.
Who literally is responsible for Star Wars, and also openly said
Indiana
that he
Jones.
tailored. Openly said he tailored the good guys in Star Wars off of the Viet Cong. Yes, sure, he stole a bit from Dune. Fair, okay. I don't disagree with you there. But like, Star Wars, a franchise, is become this like explosive thing because of George Lucas's vision originally. And I say this as someone who's not the biggest Star Wars fan in general. But to say who's George Lucas is crazy. It's like saying who's Walt Disney.
I'm a Trekkie, bro. That's even worse. If you know enough, know enough about like science fiction, like TV culture, to call yourself a Trekkie, that you don't know who George bad.
Yeah,
I do think though that like this point that he's making though is like in America, you know, related to what I was saying a minute ago. in America, you can't make certain things if like the way that our censorship is enacted is that like you have to imagine like what won't jeopardize the bottom line. And like, sometimes it's like like obviously on an aesthetic level or an artistic level, it's about the costs that you may want to incur for how to portray something. But obviously what we're all thinking about is like all of the subjects that you're just not allowed to depict or talk about.
Bro, it's literally it's manufacturing consent. That's what like the filters that exist in media that are not imposed upon people directly, but instead like self-imposed. That's what he is describing here. It's the profit motive being the most successful mechanism for censorship or self-censorship rather. That's it. That's what he's describing. Whereas like if you look at art, if you look at movies as a part of like an arts program that is government funded that has only one primary interest, which is to let people's creative freedoms go wild and have people express themselves, then you have technically more liberties. Then you can take more liberties with whatever vision you have.
You have to adhere to a very narrow line of commercialism. And there's only certain, look, when I started in the 70s, it was like this. I could say Russia was like this, but we were like this. You could do a certain kind of movie. And I flaunted that system. I mean, THX, my first film, is definitely not an American film, and I shoved it in sideways. And Francis helped me trick the studio.
Yeah, right.
They would have never let me make that movie if they knew what I was doing.
Yeah, and as we've said, the original trilogy of the Star Wars that George Lucas created, he specifically designed it around asymmetric warfare between the Viet Cong and the imperialist forces. The Empire was America.
Yeah, I would also add that like a big piece of this though was that like the situation has just degraded so substantially though in the last like 50 years. I would argue that like we just have like very little concrete and direct like social commentary at high level cinema anymore. Like mass entertainment products that engage in direct political commentary for the most part are like right wing slop like bullshit. Like it's like Jack Ryan style stuff. If you get something else by, it's not something, it's comparatively exceptional. There are TV shows.
People
like,
get mad at me.
Like Snowfall or something.
I think Andor is a great example of this.
Yes, Andor, obviously.
Andor is great. I think it's awesome. I don't care. You can say I'm a slop consumer or whatever. Oh, it's Star Wars. But like Andor is great. It's great. It does that directly. It's one of the few like big budget productions that we have right now that literally is pro Hamas. Like, I don't know. It's funny because people will be like, no, that's not the case or whatever. But like, it is. It's just straight up showing you exactly how, by never really like directly saying it, but it's showing you how like resistance forms and how the empire will do false flag operations and things of that nature and manufacture consent and try to belittle resistance movements and destroy them and engage in psyops and things of that nature. It explains perfectly how and why revolution forms when there is an imperial interest in extracting natural resources. The leftiness of Apple TV is kind of shocking. Foundation, Murderbot, Severance. I haven't seen like Foundation or Murderbot. I've watched a little bit of Murderbot, but I didn't really like it that much. But yeah, Superman is pro Hamas. Superman at that level is the most like Israel you're gonna get.
Although I haven't seen the new Superman, but I really do wonder how much of this is just that it's really hard to tell stories that use like really conventional like morality about like who's a good guy, who's a bad guy, what makes a good guy good, what makes a bad guy bad. And if it has like any resemblance in the slightest to stuff going on in the world, like, oh, a bunch of kids are being subjugated, like, oh, a big bad military is beating up on some natives.
They take a very black and white approach to it. But
It's you can't.
But the black and white approach to it that they take literally revolves around like a private defense contractor cutting side deals with Israel so that they can inevitably parse the land of this, Jamanpur, which is like a substitute for Palestine. Like, so it is direct in that regard, where it's like a very important American defense, like military industrial complex company is literally funneling weapons to Boravia, Israel, for free, so that they can in return take some of the land of Palestine. It's like, it's blunt, it's on the nose. It's not like there's no fanfare around it. It's not subtle at all. But it gets the message across, I think. Hasan, have you talked about the history of Israel-Palestine since the Balfour Declaration? Yes. For the past 2 years. And for the past 12 years, as a matter of fact, but especially so since October 7.
You know, a movie I will say tripped me out, and like not necessarily in a good way. When I saw it was in Dune 2, when like Timmy's like shooting the RPG in the like sand, and like I felt like this like very like, and I wonder if I would feel the same thing with Superman, where I felt like this like very like powerful set of conflicting emotions about how like the move for this guy, root for this guy, root for this guy, when like the visual analog at the time that movie came out
was Hamas.
Exactly. And it's like, and like every other piece of culture is telling you like, oh, these guys are Hitler.
Yeah.
And like to then be in a theater where like, on like opening weekend or whatever, where everybody's cheering like, woo, like, oh, guy who in real life everybody else is calling Hitler. And like maybe a bunch of the people in this theater, it was definitely like not a commentary on like the quality of the movie or anything like that. It was though like a disjuncture that like was I felt unsettled.
There's plenty of people that watch there's plenty of Gen Xers, lead poisoned, that watched Star Wars and loved it and unironically think that like they're the good guys. So while they are a close analog to the bad guys in the movie. So it doesn't matter, I think. They just see that. They just watch this stuff and they go, yeah, I'm the cool Fremen guy. That's me. And you know who else is the cool Fremen? It's like Israel saying that like the Nazi analog is Hamas here and not Israel itself.
Here's what we need to go back to.
People believe that shit.
We need to go back to that time in like the early 2010s when like everybody in America just like identified with Transformers. Like I think that would be like a little more sane making, because like I don't give a if you identify with like a space imperialist car. Like not my problem. Not my problem. Like I would feel definitely a lot better rather than like people appropriating Battle of Algiers style imagery, for like their Joker style tattoos or whatever.
Yeah. All right, let's get back to our real world examples.
We'd have a good talk, and it seemed on, let's say, 3 occasions, it seemed that we were going to have a ceasefire and maybe peace, and you divide it up and you do whatever you have to do that obviously to get to the end. And all of a sudden, missiles are flying into Kiev and other places. And I say, what's that all about? I spoke to him 3-4 hours ago, and it looked like we were on our way. And then I'd say, forget it, and I'm not going to talk anymore. You know, this has happened on too many occasions, and I don't like it. I don't like it.
You don't like it.
Social media sites. There are new powers here to censor your sites, state mandates.
To censor.
The only thing he doesn't like about the Russia situation is that like his best friend has made him look like a fool.
My site?
Censor your site.
You mean Truth? Truth, sir?
I mean Truth. Is that okay?
Well, I don't think he's going to censor my site because I say only good things. Will you please uncensor my site?
Yeah, we're not censoring anyone. We've got some measures which are there to protect children, in particular from sites like suicide sites. We've had too many cases in the United Kingdom of young children taking their own lives, and when you look through their social media, they've
bro, probably because they're living through your government. Probably because they're children forcing themselves to live in the UK under the rulership of Lord Kid Starver. Give them an opportunity to express themselves and enjoy themselves, and you know, maybe the situation will change a little bit.
Accessing.
Yeah, I've been to Birmingham. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. I've been to Birmingham for like, I think it was like what, 48 hours total, and the rate of suicide is up. Okay, if I was there for a little bit longer than 48 hours, I wouldn't be here right now. That's all I'm gonna say.
Sites which talk about suicide and encouraging, if you like, children down that road, and that is what we want to stop. It's nothing about censoring free speech. This country is a proud free speech in this country has been for
48 hours. You were the happiest man in Birmingham. Yeah, because I knew I was gonna leave eventually. That's it. No, it's really bad. It's not. I'm not even like joking when I say this. It's literally like. Their most famous thing is a mall. Like they have like a shopping center.
I'm gonna be honest.
Is bad.
That's a lot of America, dude.
Oh, for sure. But also, but imagine now you're surrounded by English people and the weather is shit. Like it's like there are plenty of places in America like that. But it's raining all the time, or if it's not raining, it's incredibly gray. And everyone's like, what are you doing, lad? Hey, what are you doing? Imagine if everyone in Detroit was like that. Like, oh, yeah, it's just, yeah, kiddo. What you saying then? That's why Black Sabbath is from there. Alabama's Birmingham is better, only in that it's not English and sometimes the weather is good. Yeah, exactly.
Very long time. We're very, very proud of it. We will protect it forever. But at the same time, I personally feel very strongly that we should protect our young teenagers, and that's what it usually is, from things like suicide sites. I don't see that as a free speech issue. I see that as a child protection issue.
We actually passed a bill in Congress.
Yes, I'd like to starve the children. I'm kid starver, not kid killer. I do not want them to commit suicide. I just want them to
you must be
starve.
looking for Kid Toucher. He's down the hole.
Yes, yes.
It's headed up by my wife, actually, which was...
This is 10 times as big as anything you've ever said about Israelis, and I'm here for it. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Ain't nobody gets mad when I say shit about the English, okay? But
you've seen the meme about like the Manchesterification of the U.S. and like the world.
What do you mean? Like the people wearing the same outfit? Like
yeah. Like having veneers and like bad tans.
Yeah,
and
what is that? I don't understand. Like why everyone wears those like skin tight pants and like skin tight button up shirt. They get the veneers. It's crypto guys.
I mean,
they all look the same.
It's crypto. It's
Magaloff.
Trying to think what the other like qualities of it are. I mean, I think of like bad jeans, but the veneers are what stick out. The veneers and the tan.
Yeah. Shagaloff, mate. No. Andrew Tate. Yeah, there's definitely an element of that.
To pull bad stuff out having to do with children, because it is a problem. But I cannot imagine him censoring Truth Social.
I just woke up in a fucking steaming mood, yeah? Because I live in a shithole. Do you know what I mean? Birmingham is a shithole. I hate the place. I hate it. It's full of dickheads. I hate it.
This is the happiest man in Birmingham. Happiest man in Birmingham.
I just woke up in a steaming mood, yeah? Because I live in a shithole. Do you know what I mean? Birmingham is a shithole. I hate the place. I hate it. It's full of dickheads. I hate it.
Yeah. I feel bad. I feel bad for the Broomies, yeah. You joke, but this man is among levels of mental zen by Birmingham standards. Yeah, no.
Brutal.
Yeah. One day, you'll all get liberated. Broomies.
They have...
You'll have a proper go at it, yeah. Hold on. Doors open. Doors open, lad. Yeah, my food is ready. It's ready.
I love food.
About to eat a proper meal. Thai.
Food.
It's Brummies, not Broom. Right. You know, it's Brummy. About to have a proper fish and chip breakfast, yeah.
And you know,
mushy peas, bangers and mash.
Wet pea barm.
Yeah, wet pea barm, beans and toast. You know, that blood sausage, yeah. You know.
You've seen the wet pea barm video, right?
I don't, maybe.
It's the guy who's like,
Bosh.
Smack P-bomb wet. Yeah, that's it. That's it. It's one of the no. That's the Smack Bomb P wet.
I tell you what,
the guy,
that's bloody
a very
nice.
earnest guy goes, and it's like one of the funniest. It's a classic.
Trump says his name may have been planted in the Epstein files.
What's
Nice.
the source? Great.
Yeah, I hate when those.
Well, that Unusual Whales account used to do a thing that like tracked crypto transactions and other stuff, like or big whatever.
Yeah.
But then now it's just become like
A breaking
they
news
sold-
aggregator, but
yeah,
like it doesn't even
that also
say
does
it.
some ad stuff.
All right, let's
It's been
continue.
a very
I'm gonna
big
get my
success.
Not going to happen.
And I only say good things about him and his country, so they say to me, you're making a mistake. I'm going to give my ambassador the job, make sure it's not censored. I had not heard that.
You're a big investor in this area, Mr. President.
Say it?
You're a big investor in this area.
To put it mildly, like this ballroom that we built from scratch.
Do you worry, though, about the risk of increased taxes here? Will that stop you investing? And do you have a message last night on the soccer to the English Lionesses who won the European trophy?
So I think that I have a theory that low taxes bring growth. We just passed a big tax cut bill, the biggest bill in the history of our country, actually. And one big, beautiful bill. I used to call it the great one big, beautiful. We took the word great out. But it's actually called the one big, beautiful bill. It's essentially a very large tax cut bill for everybody. And our country's pretty soon, I think I can say it right now, our country has never done better. We had a country that was dead. It was dead 6 months ago, a year ago. Leaders from NATO, we had a very successful meeting at NATO. Your prime minister was there. It was an unbelievable love fest with all of those countries. And they agreed to go 5% and all the things. Very smart to do. But many of the leaders said, essentially, they said, your country was dead 1 year ago. 1 year ago, we had a dead, and we did. We had a dead country. We had a president who didn't know where the hell he was. We had horrible, horrible people running our country. I think they were sick people, actually, sick. You talk about censorship. Those are big. That's all they did was censor, and they didn't know what to do. And they had high taxes. They wanted more tax. Total censorship, transgender for everybody, men playing in women's
for everybody.
Everything bad they wanted, and they still do. That's what they still do. That's why they're down at 15% or something. I saw it today, the lowest that the other part of the Democrats have ever been. But no, I find that when you lower taxes, you get growth. I will say this area, and the Prime Minister hasn't been here very long, in all fairness. I think he'll be a tax cutter, but I find that as we cut taxes, we did more business. In my first tax bill, we cut taxes from 39%, and we ended up at the end of the first year, when it was still a little raw, we ended up taking in much more revenue than we did at 39%. It was pretty amazing. And we're taking in a lot of revenue right now, and this was an additional tax cut. So I find, for whatever it's worth, tax cuts are very good.
Russia moved up the deadline. It's now 10 or 12 days. Is the sanction the same, that you're going to slap 100% tariff on anybody who does business with Russia?
So what I'm doing is we're going to do secondary sanctions, unless we make a deal. And we might make a deal. I don't know. You don't know. It's we've done so many peace deals. This is the one I started out with. And, I know President Putin called me. He wanted to know if I could help him with Iran. I said, no, I don't need your help with Iran. I need your help with Russia. And so that's the one deal that continues to linger. And, we're losing 5,000. They're losing. I'm not losing. You're not losing. But 5,000 Russian and Ukrainian kids a week are dying. And that's not mentioning the people that are dying also in towns where, he's lobbing missiles into certain towns like Kiev. And he's got to make a deal. It's too many people are dying. It's a really bloody war. And the 5 now, they're really telling me that number is obsolete. It's like 7.
That's terrible.
So you have 7,000 Russian and Ukrainian soldiers dying every single week for no reason whatsoever. So you would think, based on common sense, you would think he'd want to make a deal. We'll find out.
No communication with Israel publicly. Have you had any other Ukrainian channels conversations with the Russians reiterating this?
In what?
reiterating this new pressure and deadline.
Yeah, well, we're going to have well, you're the press. I'm reiterating it to you. I'd say 10 to 12 days. I'll announce it probably tonight or tomorrow. But there's no reason to wait. If you know what the answer is going to be, why wait? And it would be sanctions and maybe tariffs, secondary tariffs. You know what a secondary tariff is. And look, the Russian economy, I don't want to do that to Russia. I love the Russian people. They're great people. I don't want to do that to Russia. But this thing, they're losing a lot of Russians. They've lost 1 million Russians. And that's the, sons, that's the sons and daughters of Russian families. They leave the house, they go, bye mom, bye dad, and then they get blown away. And Ukrainian too. Look at Ukraine. It's a disaster what's happened there. But it continues to go on. As you know, we made a deal where the European Union is essentially involved, but it's NATO, and we're supplying weapons to NATO. NATO's now paying because the United States, because of Biden's in for $350 billion, the European nations are in for about $100 billion. Should be the opposite way, by the way, because we have a big ocean in between. Should be the opposite way. But I think that eventually something's going to happen. It should happen fast. So many people are dying. When I settled out with Congo and Rwanda, they lost almost 8 million people. And it just made so much sense. And if I didn't get involved, they wouldn't have done it. They weren't even thinking about settling it. It was just going on forever. And nobody could go into those territories because they'd get killed. They'd get killed. And now they have I hear it's a whole different ballgame. We settled it. This is one that should be settled. Russia, Ukraine. This is one that really should be settled.
Mr. President, Scotland's First Minister has today set out his plans for a second referendum on Scottish independence. Can I get your reaction to that as someone with deep ties to Scotland? Prime Minister, can I also get your thoughts on that? If the SNP do win a majority in next year's election, then they have the right to hold a referendum,
Well, I don't want to get involved in your politics. We got enough politics of our own. I will say that I predicted what was going to happen the last time. You remember, I was opening the first course over at Aberdeen, and I was over here, and at the same time, and they asked me that question. I made a prediction. It was the day before the vote, and I made it correct. I like to be correct, but I made a correct prediction. I don't know. I do say that when they made that deal, somebody said that it was, and I remember this very distinctly, I said, could they do this all the time? There was a little bit of a restriction, like 50 or 75 years before you could take another vote, because, a country can't go through that too much. I don't know the First Minister, but I've heard great things about him. I've spoken to him. I hear very good things about him, and I'm meeting him today, so maybe I'll have a better opinion then.
And let me answer that straightforwardly, because I believe in a stronger Scotland, in a better United Kingdom. And I think that at a time like this, when it's quite clear that there's uncertainty and volatility around the world, the strength of the United Kingdom together is very important for all four nations, very important for Scotland. And that should be our priority, that should be our focus, not on the politics, which feels like the politics of yesteryear now, at a time like this. And I think that the First Minister should probably focus more on his delivery in Scotland than on his constitutional issues, and we might have a better health service in Scotland. But at a time like this, I think the United Kingdom is always stronger as four nations. I think that's better for all four nations. I think that's how Scotland is stronger. Look at the deal that we've been able to do with the United States. A really important
great deal for the United States
that we made just months ago. That is what the United Kingdom can do when we act as a powerful set of four nations together, and there are very many other examples.
Mr. President, you toured the Federal Reserve last week.
I did.
Oh, we know.
Do you think your visit will has inspired a potential rate cut, or how do you see things shaping out this?
Well, it's interesting. I did tour it. I toured the building. And if you looked at this building, if you came here like 14, 15 years ago, we've had it a long time. It's been an honor to have Turnberry. But I was on much more opulent walls, ceilings, floors. We had to do this. And we did a very great job. I mean, you see how beautiful it is inside. Everything was saved. Everything was preserved. We had ceilings that were in bad shape. They were falling down. You know, it's very old. Wasn't properly maintained. Now it's brand new and beautiful, and we saved everything. If you really think here, you took a look and you were sort of commenting to coloring now this is a brand new building, but if you look outside, it's equally opulent and beautiful, and we didn't do that by spending, you know, hundreds of millions of dollars in surrounding a railing underneath an area that you're painting. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. Brand new, beautiful plywood, very expensive, wrapped around a figurine or a railing to preserve it. But you don't have to do that. You can just wrap a cloth, they call it a blanket.
Okay.
And you don't even have to do that if you're careful when you're doing the ceiling. But I don't know.
I don't care about this, man. All right, let's skip this.